All Elite Wrestling had an incredible debut pay-per-view, with mostly positive reviews from wrestling fans who believe they've injected new hope that, not to sound Trump-like, but wrestling can be great again. The pay-per-view wasn't perfect by far, but wrestling fans all over the world commended it and wondered how WWE would react from all this positivity, something we don't see much in present-day wrestling. Well, if you watched our most recent video, you'd know Vince McMahon was furious at some of his WWE superstars, as some took to Twitter to show their support for its rival company. Had the reaction from wrestling fans lit a fire under Vince McMahon and WWE to produce a more exciting and unpredictable product? Were they going to acknowledge the show? Were they even bothered? How was Raw going to play out? Well, this week's edition of Monday Night Raw started off just like any other Raw, with its first wild card of the night, WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, who spoke on his attack last week from the returning Dolph Ziggler, and that he didn't get the job done, as he walked out on his own without medical attention and is still standing tall. He spoke about Brock Lesnar making his decision on who he will cash in on, but was quickly interrupted by Universal Champion Seth Rollins. Seth called out the Beast Incarnate, but many fans weren't ready for Lesnar's appearance, as last night he managed to top his famous dance with the mariachi band by coming out with a custom-made boombox Money in the Bank briefcase. Corey Graves mentioned it was a beast box, and with a hood on, bopping to some beats and performing moves like he'd accidentally rubbed his body with some Oozy Hot, Lesnar was clearly trolling the WWE Universe. Now, we could shit on this segment all night, but in all honesty, as much of a joke as it was actually quite entertaining at the same time. Next week, we want to see Brock in some old school hip hop gear, including shades, chains, the baggiest jeans he can find, basketball jersey, and a do-rag to top it off. It would be phenomenal. Anyway, sick of his antics, Seth Rollins just up and left. Since Rollins ruined the Brock party and Brock obviously didn't want to give away who he wanted to cash in on, the two just left, leaving Kofi in the ring. However, seconds later, Ziggler would return, jumping Kofi from behind, giving the champion another vicious beatdown. Fellow New Day brethren Xavier Woods would come in to save the day and managed to fend him off for some time. But considering he was one of the few WWE wrestlers who offered some luck to the AEW boys, he probably paid for it in the ring, as Ziggler would get the upper hand with some hard-hitting chair shots to the back. Ziggler gave a decent promo afterwards on how the fans look up to Kofi, but reminded them it should have been him with the belt. In all honesty, the story is lukewarm at best, but the chemistry these two have in the ring will certainly give us a great match at Super Showdown. WWE also hyped the 10,000th encounter between Randy Orton and Triple H for the Super Showdown event that airs next month. Shane O'Mac confirms he will compete tonight, and came out with Drew McIntyre and spoke on the Samoan Dynasty and past legends like WWE Tag Team Champions the Head Shrinkers. He mentioned that Vince always cleaned up their mistakes and called out a member of the Samoan Dynasty for him to face. Many noticed at this point, Raw was nearly 50 minutes into the show and we still hadn't had a single match. We finally got one, but it was horrendous. Shane faced enhancement talent, who was apparently Roman Reigns' cousin, Lance Anoa'i. In fact he is, as he is the son of Samu, one half of the aforementioned Head Shrinkers tag team. This wouldn't be his debut match in the WWE either, as he wrestled on SmackDown Live in 2015, teaming with Rhett Titus, losing to the Ascension. Lance wasn't even given a chance as he was attacked by McIntyre before the bell even rang. This meant that he was easy pickings for Shane as he locked in the triangle chokehold for the win. During the match, the crowd was relatively bored and broke out with "This is awful" and AEW chants. Vince probably heard the chants backstage and remedied it by sending out Roman Reigns to make the save for his cousin from a post-match beatdown. Hitting R1, R1, R1 on the control pad, Reigns delivered a number of Superman punches. Surprisingly, after that, Brock came out again to announce that he's cashing in his contract. Rollins comes out, but just before an official cash-in was made, like many who brought a television without warranty, Heyman read the fine print of the contract and it revealed that Brock didn't have to cash in for at least a year, and in his words left with, "I've got a whole year. Screw you." Classic Lesnar. he still proves to be the smartest man in wrestling, as he doesn't have to wrestle or watch the product and still gets paid a fat check. Heel of the Century. The 24/7 rule continues with R-Truth trying to evade those who are gunning for his championship at the Memorial Day barbecue by showing up and announcing his presence. What? He managed to escape though as a mass brawl erupted. Unfortunately, we then find out AJ Styles is dealing with a back injury and was attacked by Baron Corbin. Corbin would replace Styles in the main event to determine the #1 contender for the Universal Championship and face Seth Rollins at the Super Showdown event. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch tagged with Nikki Cross to take on the Iconics in a non-title match. Lynch would hit the Uranagi on Peyton Royce for the win. Now, the match was okay, but what is the point of having the Iconics lose again 2 weeks in a row? We then got a solid match between Ricochet and Cesaro, with Ricochet picking up the win, and following that, WWE confirmed that Rey Mysterio will be relinquishing the US title next week on Raw due to an injury. Will it be handed back to Joe? How will WWE decide a vacant championship? We're now into the third hour of Raw, and the #1 contender match for the Universal title gets underway. It would have been great for The Miz to be back in the title picture, but WWE didn't give us that. Instead, Baron Corbin managed to get the win. Ugh. So, to those 3 people watching this pay-per-view might care enough to know, we'll now have a Baron Corbin vs Seth Rollins match at Showdown for the Universal Championship. WWE promised things would get a little dark during the third hour, and they didn't disappoint with another Firefly Funhouse episode, as Bray Wyatt continues to show why he's one of the best things on Raw, giving us more cryptic messages about his character, and we also saw the return of the Spider Walk. In one of Raw's most interesting segments of the night, Sami Zayn sat in the electric chair and had a Q&A with the audience. The questions were no doubt pre-planned and awful, and eventually Zayn responded with, "You could have asked me anything. You could have asked me about AEW." This encouraged AEW chants from the audience. Was this planned? Did Vince tell him to mention AEW? Well, there are conflicting reports, but many believe this was not planned, as WWE uploaded the segment to YouTube, but they cut that part out specifically, which could indicate Sami went a little off script. Raw would end with Seth Rollins coming out to end the electric chair segment and face Sami Zayn. In what was the best match of the night, Rollins would come out with a win, hitting the blackout on him for the 3 count. Now, if this Raw was meant to show All Elite Wrestling and billionaire Shahid Khan that they're still the top dogs in wrestling, they failed quite miserably. Apart from the Firefly episode, entertainment from Brock Lesnar, the Ricochet and Cesaro bout and the main event, this Raw was average at best, with mostly talk segments and not enough wrestling. WWE really need to step up their game if they don't want to end up losing their fan base to All Elite. Speaking of All Elite, yes, we're going there. CM Punk rumours continue to circulate the wrestling community, and the latest is that AEW might have teased that Punk could appear at their August pay-per-view All Out. Fans have noticed on the poster for the pay-per-view, there are 4 stars, similar to the ones that appear on Punk's apparel in WWE, that tease a possible appearance. Sean Waltman, aka X-Pac, believes that Punk will show up eventually, commenting, "When you get TNT on board and a weekly show on that network, I mean, they got rid of wrestling and didn't want anything to do with it again. Look, they have a fresh mind mixed with, they've got some good experienced people involved with this, but it's the mentality and the new ideas and the new way of thinking, and I really hope it works. I have a good feeling about it. I honestly think that, and I've said this, I think CM Punk's gonna show up eventually. I might be going out on a limb saying it, I just think it would be hard for him to sit this out. I mean, he said I'm not leaving wrestling, and I'm not coming back. This wasn't what was going on. There was no AEW in the picture, there was none of that." Well, whilst we love any CM Punk rumours, fans are looking way too much into this. The event is going to be held at the Sears Center in Chicago, Illinois, and most will know that Chicago's city flag bears the 4 red stars on it. That's all. But what did you guys think of Raw? What did you guys think of Zayn name dropping AEW? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.